This podcast contains content related to child exploitation and criminal investigations. Listener discretion is strongly advised. The views expressed are those of the host and do not represent any official agency. All individuals discussed are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
But it's just a messaging app. Or at least that's what most parents would think when they hear the name Kik. But when I opened the app for the first time, what I saw wasn't just innocent conversation. It was an ecosystem, one where adults pretend to be children, traded illicit files, and used chat rooms like hunting grounds. I remember thinking, if a parent walked in here right now and saw my screen, they'd have no idea the danger that they're looking at. This is Chasing Shadows, and I'm Sean Lacy, and today we're going to be peeling back the layers of Kik Messenger. We're going to talk about how it works, why predators love it, and how cases that start on Kik have led to some of the most disturbing arrests of my career. So what is Kik? Well, Kik launched back in 2010 as a simple social media messaging app. It was a way for users to send texts, pictures, and videos without having to use their phone numbers. You didn't, and you still don't, need a real name or even a working email address. You just have to create a username and a password. That's it. And that's what made it and has continued to make it appealing for predators. Because unlike Snapchat or Instagram, Kik doesn't require identity verification. It doesn't automatically link to your phone contacts. Everything is self-contained. There's private groups, username, and file sharing ability. And it offers anonymity disguised as freedom. To a teenager, it's a way to message friends away from parental oversight. But to a predator, it's an opportunity to hunt essentially unseen. Now, I've spent years in digital forensics and undercover work, and I can say without hesitation, Kik remains one of the most dangerous spaces on the internet for children. Why? Because it looks harmless, and because it's fast. Files, photos, videos, they're shared instantly and can disappear just as quickly. But like most of you know, those files don't just vanish off the internet. They're downloaded, they're saved, they're spread, and they're replicated. And once they're out there, it's true, they never really go away. If you remember in episode 1, we talked about Gregory Wax. I remember when I first came across Gregory through a cyber tip from Kik. The name associated with his account was nothing special, didn't stand out in any way. But what Kik flagged and what we were interested in was his profile picture. I can still see it to this day. It was an image of a young girl, prepubescent, laying on a green carpet, partially dressed, posed in a sexualized way that was designed to capitalize on her lost innocence. That picture was one that I'd seen before, and one I'd seen since. It wasn't used as an accident. It was child sexual abuse material, and it was put there for a reason. Most people don't realize that predators communicate through visuals long before they ever send a message. The image that Gregory was using wasn't for kids. It was a signal to other predators. It said, "I'm one of you. I'm safe. I'm not law enforcement." These profile pictures act as billboards. Even though they're meant to be quiet, but they are disturbing symbols that open doors into hidden chat rooms and group threads where illegal content is openly traded. Wax would have used this image to gain trust and access, to prove his authenticity in communities that operated right out in the open. Chat rooms where links to Mega and Dropbox folders contained CSAM that were passed around like trading cards. And this is where parents really need to pay attention, because if your child is just scrolling through Kik, even if they aren't part of those groups, they can still see these profile images. And that exposure alone can be damaging, and in many cases, it's the beginning of unwanted contact. Wax may not have just been participating in those chats. He may have been curating them. We later found evidence linking him to hundreds of illegal images hosted in shareable online folders. Apps like Mega, Dropbox, and WeTransfer are legitimate cloud storage platforms. Many people use them in their personal lives or businesses to store and trade information. Predators use them because they're free, encrypted, and easy to share. They upload massive collections, create shareable links, and pass them through Kik private messages or in public groups. In many cases, they never even have to say a word. A single image or phrase in a group chat is enough to trigger the exchange, and sometimes there is no chatting necessary. I've been in these groups, I've conducted undercover operations in these groups, where as soon as you gain access, link after link after link is traded. Thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of images and videos of child sexual abuse material will be traded every single hour. And that's how the economy of exploitation operates. Silent, but endless. After the Wax case, myself and my partner decided that we needed to set up shop on Kik. We needed to find out how big the problem was and what we could do about it. And it wasn't long until we found out. I remember one of my first chat cases on Kik involved the arrest of a motorcycle gang member. Even though he was a motorcycle gang member, he wasn't really who you'd picture as an online predator. He was a middle-aged man, a father. He worked construction. He contacted our undercover persona, who at the time was a 14-year-old female. At first, he was extremely cautious. But soon, his messages turned explicit, controlling, and deliberate. He was testing the waters. He was seeing if I was real and seeing if I was a police officer. But what stood out to me was how calculated he was. Because in testing me, he began messaging my persona from a second Kik account, pretending to be someone else, testing my answers, making sure that they were consistent. And this is how predators can try to identify potential undercover operations. If our story doesn't match, or if they get a bad feeling, they move on. But we had practiced. I had been trained and my story was airtight. When he did finally travel, he brought with him sex toys that he wanted to teach me how to use. A grown man, with a family and a child, wanting to teach a 14-year-old female that he met online how to use sex toys. He was intercepted as he drove past a convenience store just 100 yards from the meeting spot. He never made it any further. Myself and my partner arrested him and charged him with the solicitation of a minor online, and he was sentenced to 15 years. A father, a husband, willing to destroy lives for his own sexual gratification. The next notable one was one that my partner conducted. It hit differently. This person was responsible for keeping students safe online. He was a guy who installed the filters, set the firewalls, and ensured that school networks stayed protected. He was a public school IT worker. And it seemed like he was using those same skills to exploit children. He contacted my partner's undercover persona and began grooming slowly but carefully. He asked about her age, asked about her friends, her life at home, and over about 2 weeks he built rapport, gradually normalizing the sexual conversation until she trusted him. But then he did something that we hadn't seen before. He began scouting the area. We later found out that he drove to the meeting location over an hour from his house to conduct surveillance. He took pictures of cars. He Googled what our police cars would look like. And when he returned the next day feeling safe and confident, he was not met by the child that he thought he was communicating with, but by law enforcement. He had a wife at home. He had a child at home. And he drove over an hour to try to satisfy his sexual needs with a minor. He was also arrested and charged with the solicitation of a minor online and convicted, and is currently serving 15 years in the Virginia State Penitentiary. Another case involved a heavy equipment operator. His job was constantly traveling for work from construction site to construction site, road projects to road projects. He spent long weeks, if not months, away from home. He told us that Kik was just a way to meet people, sometimes prostitutes. But his messages weren't targeted at adult women. He found our undercover profile and immediately turned the conversation sexual. Within a matter of a week, he was planning a trip. He described what he wanted to do and what he would bring and what rules I would have to follow. He drove about 45 minutes on his motorcycle and was arrested without incident. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to take my 14-year-old profile, my 14-year-old persona, for a motorcycle ride. But when we got to wherever we were going to get to, he fully intended to have sex with me. He admitted during an interview that he had an iPad back at his hotel room that we would find a significant amount of child sexual abuse material on it. 3 men. 3 lives that could have intersected with a real child instead of a screen. 3 examples of how apps like Kik enable behavior that might otherwise stay dormant. And this is just a fraction of the arrests that we made. We partnered with federal and other local agencies to conduct undercover chat operations on Kik and have been extremely successful, arresting dozens of predators, all traveling with the intent to have sex with a minor. Because on Kik, predators feel invisible. They feel like the rules don't apply. But we're watching. And they were proven wrong. Inside Kik's dark corners, there's also an entire world built around file sharing. And it operates like a marketplace. Users exchange links, not just single files. Those links are usually to Dropbox or Mega accounts, which are storage platforms that allow huge amounts of data to be shared with a single link. The language is coded but consistent. Drop means Dropbox link. Trade means exchange, and rare means new material. Predators talk about children like they're collectible. They discuss their preferences of whether they want all boys or all girls, how young they want them, how old they want them, what types of things they want them doing. Do they want bondage? Do they want pain? It's an economy that feeds itself because the more people trade, the more content circulates. Even after arrests, those same files continue bouncing between users worldwide. And the scariest part is most of these shared folders contain the same videos and images we've seen in previous cases. The evidence never really dies. It's just copied, renamed, and re-uploaded until it becomes impossible to track how far it's spread. If you're a parent, that should terrify you. Because these networks don't just share content, they create demand. And every time one of these offenders clicks download, that demand drives someone else to create more. We often get asked, why stay on these platforms? Why not just shut them down? The truth is, Kik, like many other apps and platforms, isn't inherently illegal. It's just a tool. But it's a tool that's been overtaken by users who understand how to weaponize anonymity. Even when Kik cooperates with investigations, the sheer volume of offenders makes it nearly impossible to keep up. We've talked about the cyber tip numbers from 2024, over 20 million cyber tips reported to NCMEC. And a significant portion of them involved Kik and their file sharing links. Each one of these reports represents a potential child victim, and each link that's traded represents thousands. It could be a picture and a video of your neighbor or a classmate. Or unfortunately, it could be a picture or video of your own child that's being traded out there. So parents, here's what I want you to know about Kik. If your child has it installed, remove it. Kik has no effective parental controls. Talk early and talk often. Your best defense is open communication. Watch for cross-app contact. Many offenders meet children on one platform and then move them to Kik for privacy. Recognize link-based trading language. Words like drop, trade, link, rare aren't harmless slang. And know what a Dropbox link looks like. Know what a Mega Links looks like. And if you see Mega or Dropbox or WeTransfer apps on your child's phone, question why. Go into those boxes, go into those clouds and see what's in there. And mostly, don't assume that your child knows what danger looks like. Predators don't just show up wearing a mask, they show up as friendly, funny, and understanding. We've talked about the grooming is like emotional camouflage. Kik isn't the biggest app in the world anymore, but it remains one of the most dangerous. When we get a cyber tip from Kik, we know that the individual on the other side of that typically is going to have a significant collection of child sexual abuse material. And as long as children are finding ways to use the app, predators will too. If you've learned something from this episode, please share it. Please leave a comment. Please support the podcast. Talk about it. Talk about the dangers amongst parents. Share it in parents groups. Because knowledge only protects if it's passed on. I'm Sean Lacy, and this is Chasing Shadows. Stay aware, stay vigilant. And remember, the shadows are only dark until you shine a light on them. Thank you for listening, and thank you for standing with me in this fight.